Another Met game, another win. Dude's hitting for the cycle. Everybody's getting on base. Now somebody just needs to teach Pete Alonso how to slide into home. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
What another beautiful day in New York City, baby.
Isn't it, though?
I love it.
Yes, everybody's in a good mood.
I'm in a great mood. I'm excited for my friends who are Ranger fans. They're going to be stressed out tonight.
Game 4 tonight, baby.
The Yankees get to take on their personal patsies and another late night of watching Met baseball. I'm happy today, Craig.
And a couple things out of the gate. Number one, from this point forward, I can no longer be referred to as the shock jock. I'm sorry. All right, which many people think I am in some way, shape, or form. When Gary Cohn and Keith Hernandez spent 5 minutes talking about stroking bats and stroking other things, I'm off the hook. And I'm not responsible for it either.
But the problem with the whole stroking it in New York
is that
Mets story,
they were talking about two different
yes!
things.
Yes, and Keith represented my brain and represented, I'd say, 80% of the audience's brain under the age of 40.
Yeah.
And Gary Cohen represented the senior citizen brain.
Yeah, one of them's talking about, God forbid it happens, having an actual stroke.
Right.
The other guy was talking about, the other thing.
I know.
And I was saying to myself, thank God Ron Darling wasn't there to ruin it.
I wish David Cohn was in the booth.
Well, listen, that goes back a little ways, but good call there, Evan.
Thank you.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
If Cohn was in the booth, would they have done what Yes did with Beltran in the booth, talking about stealing signs? Or would David Cohn have partaken in the conversation?
I think Gary Cohen would have become eliminated from the conversation because I think the stroking out discussion would have become more of a David Keith thing.
Like if Keith's like, David, you know what I'm talking about.
Like, I love Gary Cohen. Gary Cohen doesn't understand why last night was funny. He thought it was funny for a different reason. He was cracking up for a completely different reason than why David Cohn would be cracking up, and certainly why you and I were cracking up, and I have to defend my partner. For anyone who tweets at him, what a fraud, you probably didn't even watch the game, you were watching highlights like the morning show. No. Craig was texting me late last night about the Met game.
Because
I'm very proud of you.
on the Nito bunt,
yes,
I thought I heard the bunt, the sound of the ball hitting the bat, a millisecond before I saw it hit the bat. So I was all excited about it. The fact that I was even watching the game at that point, like 11:30 at night. I think Mets were 5-1 at that time when he laid down the bunt. I reached out to Evan. And I did it for two reasons.
To show you were watching.
Well, let's be honest. The prime reason I did it was I wanted Evan to know I was watching the game.
I know, yeah.
Because there was some discussion yesterday. Would I even be watching the game? I didn't think I would be, but I was.
Nice.
The second part was what we discussed during the show yesterday, which was, and it's not worth getting into in depth today again, was that little video disconnect from the audio.
Right.
And I could have sworn that I heard it before I saw it.
I was just more concerned that the official score didn't give Tomas Nido a sacrifice bunt. Quite frankly, I think he deserved a sacrifice bunt.
All right. So now, apparently, I'm into it with John Heyman right now regarding his stupid, flippant tweet in regards to Phil Mickelson taking a couple $100 million from the Saudi Arabia-backed LIV golf tour that you guys have heard so much about.
Yeah.
Dustin Johnson got $1.25. I mean, and there was some criticism of it, but not the extent that Mickelson has gotten, and that's partially because of the stupid comments Phil Mickelson made.
And because he's the biggest star. I mean, Phil Mickelson, outside of Tiger Woods, is one of the biggest names in golf.
But Dustin Johnson was the first to take the big money.
Yes. Mickelson
took it second, and he got more.
Right.
Because, of course, of his status, I guess, in the world as a golfer. But I got into it with Heyman online because John Heyman made a flippant comment mocking Phil Mickelson's now very public and very admitted gambling addiction. And his comment on Twitter was essentially, all good, he's just going to blow it on gambling, right?
Yeah.
Like taking a shot at Phil's admission of gambling. So I, of course, reacted to that as an admitted, very public, compulsive gambler. I thought that was uncalled for. Like, if you want to be critical of guys taking money from the Saudi Arabia fund and you want to call it blood money, you can. Feel free to. Be critical of that. Attack the decision of getting into bed with a country that was involved in 9/11, that killed an innocent journalist, that does not believe in equal rights for its own citizens, and on and on and on. I'm down with that. But there was no reason to criticize the addiction that Phil admittedly has when you can very fairly criticize the decision to take so-called blood money.
Oh, of course.
Am I right on that?
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the whole debate on taking the money from the Saudi Arabian government, like the same debate with the NBA and China, is interesting because I think that most of us would take those checks.
And that's the other part. We can all sit here and say, don't take the money. You can't take the money. If somebody offered you, in Dustin Johnson's case, $125 million guaranteed.
You're taking it.
In Phil Mickelson's case, $200 million guaranteed. Let's just be honest. Who's saying no?
Well, I'll take it on a smaller scale. Most of us buy stuff that's made in China. Do we not?
Correct. Of course we do.
Are we actively...
How about the sneakers on our feet?
Right. Are we actively looking, as much as we may say we try and ideally want to try, like ideally, I want to buy everything that's made in America. Ideally. I'd love that. But sometimes when you're in a store and something's a really good price or it looks really good, you're going to buy it no matter what it says on the back.
Correct.
And so on a smaller scale, we do that. We make business decisions for ourselves, and that's what these guys are doing right now.
Phil Mickelson's not a likable guy. He said some really stupid things.
Yes.
No one's going to argue that. We're all in agreement on that. But it's so hypocritical and holier than thou to now suggest that, oh, my God, I can't believe he took the money, or Dustin Johnson took the money. Dustin Johnson was asked about it today. See, and the question was, some people would say that you chose money over country. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to that?
Right.
And he said, I don't see it that way. I chose my family over everything else.
Right.
And taking $125 million was the right thing for me to do for my family. I can't argue that.
Ideally, I would love if we didn't do that. Ideally, I would love if every product we bought wasn't made in some illegal camp 15,000 miles away. But we do.
Right.
Because we're all in different levels making family decisions.
So I made the point online to John Heyman. I don't want to be very clear and fair about this. We reached out to John to have him on the show. His initial reaction was, and Tommy spoke to him, I didn't, so I don't want to misrepresent this, was no. Then he called Tommy back because it probably dawned on him that I would have to report that. And he said, I can't come on because I'm doing another TV show and being mic'd up for something. I offered to talk to John off the air. No problem. We're both adults, right? And just tell him why I thought he should have included the gambling comment and attack Phil for taking the money. Period. Stop. Leave it at that. Very popular opinion right now, if you want to leave it at that. He was also not available for that. But I think he told Tommy he'd be free to talk tomorrow. Okay, so we'll talk tomorrow.
Maybe you guys will become pals now.
I know, highly unlikely.
You'll share baseball rumors with each other. You'll compare notes. You guys will become buddies.
So, of course, I did what you just did in talking about like how you buy your clothes.
Right.
And I tweeted out to John Heyman, I'm just wondering if you ever reported or questioned or criticized Major League Baseball for taking hundreds of millions of dollars from Ticketmaster when Saudi Arabia is the third largest shareholder of Live Nation, who owns Ticketmaster.
Oh, dude, we could do this all day.
We could do it all day.
We could do it all day.
Have you ever taken an Uber? They own a piece of Uber.
Yeah, we've all done it.
So, again, if you want to be critical right now, frankly, because Phil Mickelson's an easy target to criticize, I'm not disagreeing with that. Have at it. But there was no reason to mock the man's addiction. None. And I don't think the two should be connected at all.
No, that was too far by my guy. I still
Right.
love John, but there's no reason to attack that, especially because Phil has been open and honest that he had a problem, that he's working on it.
That's what he said.
And so you take the man at his word.
Listen, as a public figure who had to admit publicly that he had an addiction, you recognize that there are people that, A, are going to mock you for it, because that's just the way people are. There are some people that aren't going to believe you.
Right.
There's also some of that out there. And then, there are people that don't care, and et cetera, et cetera. But no one that I've come across that admittedly has an addiction or is getting help for that addiction is asking for a pat on the back for it. We're acknowledging we have a problem and we're trying to get help for it.
But what's happening, and I don't think this is necessarily fair, is there's this easy connection people are making, which is he had a gambling problem.
Right.
So that's why he's taking the Saudi blood money.
Maybe that's true,
Maybe
too.
so, or maybe most of us, not named Tiger Woods, would take an absurd check if it was offered to us.
He's the only guy that said no.
Even if it's coming from a government that helped fund a terrorist attack on our own soil 20 years ago.
Right.
Like, that's the sad reality. And it sucks because I'd love to live in an idealistic world in which none of us would take money from the Saudis or from the Chinese government or buy shoes that are made in sweatshops or whatever.
Right.
I'd love to live in that world, but we don't.
No. So, I mean, you could so where do you draw the line? Like, as Evan said, we could play this game all
day, man.
Now, the far majority of us make these decisions, financial decisions, with ignorance as a part of it. We go into a store, we buy something we like. We don't take the time to figure out who makes it, where it's made.
You're 100% right, but ignorance is not an excuse. If you cared that much, if I cared that much, and I wish I did, then I would make sure meticulously everything I bought was made on the up and up, but none of us do it. None of us.
Right. Like, I mean, we could get crazy if you want. Like John Heyman is using Twitter. Twitter's owned by Saudi Arabia. They own $1 billion worth of Twitter.
But we can all do that to ourselves.
Of course we can. I'm wearing clothes I'm sure that aren't 100% made in this country, right? I make decisions every day.
I'm pretty damn sure it wasn't made in this country.
I don't know.
It has an American flag on it, and it still wasn't made in this country.
Hold on. This better be made in this country. It's got an American flag on it.
Oh, yeah.
It better be made here.
Dude, there was an American flag at my house once, and I looked at something.
Don't tell me it said made in like Korea or something.
It said made, I forget where it was, made in Thailand, somewhere else. And I'm like, you kidding me? I'm buying an American flag, and this wasn't even made here?
So my only beef with John Heyman was, don't make a flippant comment about addiction that, you know nothing about it. Just leave that out of it, and it's fine. Attack Phil Mickelson all day and night if you want to, but him being open about having a gambling problem has nothing, maybe it does have something to do with taking the money, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But I guarantee you, John Heyman, who doesn't say no to a paycheck, if Saudi Arabia offered him $100 million to be their chief baseball correspondent, he's taking the check.
And that's why all of us have to ask ourselves the same question, because it's real easy red meat to talk about how selfish Dustin Johnson is and Phil Mickelson are and Vince McMahon is. He's been running Saudi pay-per-views for years and years, and the NBA with China. But ask yourself this question. If you were offered, let's say, 5 times the amount you make in the job you have. 5 times the amount. But it's coming from the Saudi government or it's coming from the Chinese government. Are you turning it down? Are you that good of a human being to turn down that kind of money because you believe in good? What? What's going to happen?
It's so easy for people to pay lip service to it.
Oh, you really think
I wouldn't take their money?
People are honest.
Yeah, you would.
When you start to think about it in the terms of yourself, and you start to think about that famous line that Ted DiBiase used to say.
What line is that?
Everybody's got a price. There was something we discussed off air where I was called out about that from our boss, where I said there's no amount of money that would make me do this. And it was specifically working a different shift at this radio station.
It was doing mornings.
I said
I want to be
flippantly,
clear before the other guys get all sensitive and insecure, as they do. No, Evan was not offered mornings.
No.
We're very happy with the morning show here.
We were just talking hypothetically.
However, when their contracts come up, Evan's first to replace them.
Stop.
I'm just putting it out there.
I flippantly said there's no amount of money.
And what did I say?
That would get me to do mornings. And you and our boss said, come on.
Yeah, there is.
Everyone's
got a number.
And here's the answer. Everybody's got a price. Now,
I think that was a song 10 years ago.
No. It was a line by Ted DiBiase.
No. Everybody's got a price.
Everybody's got a price.
I think B.O.B. sang it, if I'm not mistaken, but you guys can check on that.
Ted had it first.
Okay, Ted did have it first.
But it's true. Now, what that number is certainly varies. There's a certain amount of money that it would cause someone to sell out.
It's all relative to what you make today.
Relative and
Like
really,
if you make $50,000 today and someone said, I'll give you $250,000 a year for 3 years,
Right.
that might be your number.
Now,
if you make $500,000 today, that number might have to be $3 million.
I
don't know what it
believe
is.
you would sell out much quicker than I would.
Oh, you're absolutely incorrect,
But
sir.
I would eventually
You
sell
are.
out.
You could not be more wrong about that. I am a whore. Yes. Give me a piece of bubble gum. I'm in.
Like, was there a number for Tiger Woods? Even though we know
Apparently not, because they offered him more than $500 million.
Okay, but again, let's keep going.
Yeah.
$800 million.
Yeah, I got you. I hear you.
Like, eventually, the number would get so absurd that wouldn't someone even as rich as Tiger Woods say, you got me.
I think maybe not, only because let's assume he is a billionaire or close to it, right? Like, if I gave you $800 million, there's no difference between $800 million and $1 billion. There's no difference between
Right.
500 and 600, in my opinion.
Right.
I've never been offered that, so I'm kind of speaking out of my ass a little bit on it. So I think there are some people who are at such a level of wealth
It wouldn't make a difference.
where, like, if you offered Elon Musk, right? He's not
you know what?
swayed by money now.
I got a local example. Steve
Go ahead.
Cohen selling the Mets. He finally has his toy, his baseball
Right.
team he loved. He also has more money than almost anybody.
I'll give you an example. If
that
you
probably wouldn't be a number.
So he bought the Mets for $2.4 billion, right?
Right.
If I have that right? If you offered to him double, right? If you said, hey, we'll give you $5 billion for the Mets,
he probably says no.
he'd probably say no to that.
I think most guys in sports would eventually say yes, but if you're owning the team you love, that may be the thing that has no price. But for most of us, for pretty much everybody listening, we all have a price.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I hear this story and this whole story about the Live golf tournament coming from Saudi Arabia, and I've got strong opinions against the Saudi government, a lot of us do. I do take a step back and say, yeah, they'd probably get me too at some point. They'd get all of us at some point.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is this kind of, soapbox, holier than thou attitude now. It's very simple to come out and stand on your high horse and yell and scream about an individual taking blood money, Saudi Arabia money from China, whatever it may be, and stand on that horse out of principle and say, how dare he take that money? It's such a simpleton way to do it,
Right.
because nobody can call you on it in theory, right? It's an easy play to the masses. Who's not going to agree with that take? But if that's not the way you always are, if that's
And
not
we're
the
not.
stand you always take,
And we're not.
then this stand means nothing.
That's the point. And these decisions we make, which I make, I agree, we all make it, where we're buying shirts and we're buying sneakers that weren't made here and maybe made in countries that are unsavory. We're still doing it. All of us, for the most part, are
Like, do
doing
we?
it.
At the end of the day, do we really know who even pays us? I don't know who the biggest shareholders are of this
I
company.
have no idea.
What if it's Saudi Arabia?
No.
Are we quitting tomorrow?
No.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Right?
That's
Right.
the problem. That's the problem with
Right.
these discussions, because we want to do the easy, what sounds like noble thing.
Play to the masses.
I stand against the Saudi Arabian government. It's blood money. I wouldn't take it. Well, we all
Now,
sort of do.
That being said, on the addiction front, I read what Phil said, that he recognized that the manner in which he was gambling wasn't safe or recreational or responsible, and he claimed that he's in therapy and he has the support of his wife and his family. And I, as a fellow compulsive gambler, I hope he's paying homage to that.
Right.
Like, I hope he's doing all those things. And if he is, I'm proud of him
Right.
for doing those things and bettering himself. But, to throw an addiction into this mix is just stupid. And it's a cold take in a world right now where everybody's trying to, be the next jackass to say something that's, that gets attention. Like, look at me. I've got a hot take on something. And mocking addiction, I'm sorry. And I'm sensitive to it. I am an addict. I own it. There's no place for it here. None whatsoever. Unless John Heyman, and maybe he will, I know he's a very highly regarded reporter, if he starts doing that in every aspect of life. Like, let's be consistent.
Nobody can do that, though.
Oh, we're not going to do that.
No, we can't do that because of what you pointed out earlier, that we can play the game of, but you do this, but this company does that, but this company's owned by this. Like, if we play that game, everyone's a hypocrite. Everybody.
Yeah, and I wonder if he'll take that and just, if he insulates and just on the sport that he covers, if he'll start making flippant comments about guys that have gotten in trouble for things who are now about to make a lot of money or do make a lot of money if they'll be flipping comments about guys like that. I mean, I don't want to go down that road, but you know what I'm getting at. Like the Azunas of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Are we going to make flippant comments about things like that?
Well, Marcelo Ozuna deserves a flippant comment.
But
he's a bad guy.
But did he make one?
He should have. Well, I think we all should have.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So are we going to make a comment? Hey, Ozuna got $50 million. Well, that's okay. He'll lose that on legal fees the next time he beats his wife. Mm. We're not going to do that.
Right.
But it's okay to do it in this regard. And that's where I'm calling BS on it. Now, I will reach out to John again tomorrow to have an all-fair conversation with him because he was not available to have one today on air or off the air. And we'll see what happens.
I believe you two will become fast friends.
Well, I don't know if we're going to become fast friends.
Yeah, fast friends.
But I'm not going to hide from the conversation, and that's why I offered John a chance to come on the air today.
Why would you hide from a conversation that you're clearly right in?
Correct. Also,
I hate to say
I don't hide when I'm right either.
You're very right. I bet you John knows that you're right.
He knows.
Because sometimes
he's got to know.
Sometimes you tweet something. We've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. And you realize at some point, I shouldn't have said that.
Yes.
I shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
Because, look, it is fair, even though I'd argue with you, to criticize Phil Mickelson's decision. Keep it at that. When you start to veer off, it's like if you and I are arguing about the Mets and somehow you start attacking me for my lack of baseball skills and I start attacking you for your past transgressions. It's like, what are we doing? Stick to the issues.
I agree.
Debate on the issues.
Yeah. Here, gambling has been a part of my life ever since I can remember. About a decade ago, I would say it became reckless. It's embarrassing. It isn't a threat to me and my financial security. It was a number of poor decisions. And I know he's in therapy for that. Great. You know, the more people that are honest and open about it, that's the better for others who are going to come after us.
Right.
That's why we do the Saturday show. Dan Trelauer and I talk to fellow gamblers in recovery. So people who are at the beginning of that journey can hear from other people who live the same experience. So making fun of that, I mean, if that makes you happy, have at it. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And just to give you an example of the stuff people like me deal with, here's a guy, Teddy Karabatsos. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. You're a con man who uses his gambling addiction as an excuse for being a scumbag. Okay.
But that was at you?
That was at me. Yeah.
Jeez.
Thank you for that, Theodore.
Wow.
Like, I read it every day. I get it. If that's what you take out of my life story, good for you.
How much of that do you get on a daily basis?
Every day.
No, how much? Like 5 a day, 1 a day, 30
I don't know.
a day?
I guess if I decided to read Twitter the way I used to every day, multiple, every day. Every day. So, like, that's real.
Jeez.
It's breathing. It's out there. Or lately you want to read a good email? Oh, you're going to like this one. So, I give out my email address on this show sometimes. I guess I shouldn't.
Yet I still get DMs from people saying, what's Craig's email? I'm like, the guy gives it out on the air all the time.
Craig.Carton@Odyssey.com. All right?
What was it about? What did it attack you for?
Oh, it attacks. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Let's play the wheel of how you could attack Craig.
Yeah.
Is it not enough sports? Is it fraud fan?
Here's this new guy that writes me. His name is Carl Morales. All right?
Oh, you found my burner account.
How annoying is it to hear how brave or strong an addict is? My dad was a drunk. I don't find him brave or a hero for quitting. Carton gets praised for not gambling anymore. Why is that brave? Why is he thanking people for his weekend show? You and I aren't brave for not being a degenerate or weak to begin with. Carton is an addict, and he's some sort of hero. Carton should be saying, I'm weak, I'm a loser, don't compliment me. Addicts are losers.
Wow.
I get that.
Jeez. Did you write that guy back?
No, not yet. No.
Just make sure you end it with have a blessed day.
He obviously doesn't like his dad very much.
No, I mean...
Yeah, he hates his father. Yeah. There you go. You're an addict, you're a loser. That's how that one went.
Called you a loser and his dad a loser. Sounds like a wonderful guy.
He called his dad a loser. Yeah. His dad got himself healthy and off booze which is commendable.
Sure.
And his son
Thinks
has
he's a
problem.
loser.
His son thinks he's a loser. Yeah, this is my life, dude.
Jeez, man.
I live with this every day, all day.
All right, I
can't
get why
avoid
you
it.
don't check Twitter. I get it now.
Well,
Makes sense.
listen, and by the way, it's also very grounding and humbling.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place for that in my life too. You know, it's like what Denzel Washington said to Will Smith at the Oscars. When you're doing really great and you're back on top is when the devil comes for you. So every now and then, having a guy like Theodore Karabatskos on Twitter remind me of my failures in life. Maybe I need that once in a while.
I guess that's a good way to look at it.
That's the positive way I look at things right now. 877-337-6666. We'll get all your calls. We got lots to do. All the baseball stuff. And, yes, the Rangers looking to take a 3-1 lead tonight against Tampa. That game's at 8 o'clock. By the way, the Yankee game is at 7:40.
Correct.
So I guess there's a bridge show tonight, yeah? Or no?
That's a
What's
good
the deal with
question.
that?
Is it a bridge or is it Keith? Who does the hour program until
It is
Yankee
Keith.
pregame? It is Keith?
Correct.
And, all right, you got that. So, Keith, so you're out. You don't get the extra
It would have been
wood
nice
today.
to mention this yesterday, though, when there was a bridge show. We could have promoted that. But
I
today,
didn't
when
know.
there's not one.
Oh, speaking of which, I heard your bridge show. Let's talk off air. I got some critiques for you.
Okay.
Wow.
No, it's fine.
That's never positive.
No, I mean...
If it was positive, you just would have said, I heard your bridge show.
Yeah, I know.
I really enjoyed it.
all right,
No,
you know
no.
what? He pissed me off a little bit, and I'm going to give
Maybe,
him my
but that's a sign of
serious.
a good talk show
There you go.
host.
See?
Sort
He
of, not
made you
really.
react to what he had
It
to
wasn't
say.
what he was saying. It was how he was saying it. We'll talk about it. We'll have a nice meeting. I have notes.
Thanks.
APD,
Full of compliments around
which
here.
stands for Assistant Program
Well, it's
Director.
to get better. Like I love when
Okay.
people do that with me in the past.
Sure.
Like this is what you did so horribly, Evan.
Oh,
and you
only in the
learn.
past, because,
Well, if you
there's
do
no
it-
more, you can't get any
No,
better.
no, Craig does it to me all the time.
I
Evan.
do.
Remember that
I
ti-
do. I'll sit him down and say, listen, go back and listen to 520, whatever the time
Yeah.
is,
Right.
and tell me what you think.
I actually love
you
that.
publicly
Yeah.
do it on air.
I didn't publicly do it. I said privately we need
Dude,
to
hold
talk.
on. He had a 12-minute show. It's not hard to go back and find the content of it. Tommy, what do you want?
No, Big Mac said it. Maybe you could pull him off to the side like a good guy and tell him and not put him on blast
Yes.
Yeah.
on
Good
the
job,
air.
Tommy.
No, you
I agree,
did.
Tommy.
You said it on the air.
I
You-
just said we were talking
Yep.
about the bridge show. I
Yep.
reminded me,
Yes.
hey, we need to talk about that bridge show. I have some thoughts.
Yes.
Look, we always can get better at our craft. Craig can get better. I can
Sure.
get
I
better.
listen to shows all the time.
So do
Yeah.
I.
I don't think you do.
No, you
Of course-
don't.
Of course I do.
Okay,
Do you?
good. I'm glad
Yeah.
you do. You
So
should.
before we speak, I
Sure.
want you to identify your issue with last
Well,
night's show.
you've told me before. I kind of say we'll come back and wrap it up. Did I say that again?
That's a small thing, but
Okay.
By the way, people on Twitter are now attacking Teddy Karabatsis. Thank you. Apparently, according to Big Bertha Parlays, Teddy still showers with his dad. Wow. I don't know what that means exactly, but it's probably not good.
from Bertha Parlays.
yeah.
Thanks for chiming in, Bertha.
Big Bertha.
Oh, Big Bertha.
Big Bertha Parlays, a.k.a. at Big Bertha Golf, which is a golf club,
Gotcha.
which I have rocked on a golf course many times. Yes. I've also lost a couple in the woods, but that's me and not the club itself.